Sport here on BBC One in 30 minutes. Before that, Michael Burke introduces 999 Lifesavers.
Tonight on Lifesavers, the boy in a terrible crash they thought no one could survive. Plus, how to keep kids safe on the road. And the go-kart accident that called on the new skills of two young lifesavers. When you get into a car, what's the first thing that you do? With most drivers, it's instinctive. You put on your own seatbelt. But it's also a legal requirement for drivers to make sure that any children under 14 in the car are also properly restrained. Last year, more than 1,000 children, that's the equivalent of an entire school, were killed or seriously injured while they were travelling in cars. According to the Department of Transport, 90% of those deaths and serious injuries could have been avoided if the children had been properly strapped in.
More and more parents are buying car seats for their children, but as we'll see later, a survey carried out for Lifesavers revealed that a frightening proportion of them weren't correctly fitted. In our first story tonight, Julie Elliott was careful to make sure that this seat for her 2-year-old son Matthew was properly fitted, but she never dreamt it would be put to the ultimate test.
The child will rattle around that car like an egg in a tin box.
There's no doubt whatsoever he would have become a missile inside the vehicle.
The consequences of not having them in a car seat, you know, they just don't bear thinking about, really. We had a Kwik Fit car seat fitted purely because I was never really that confident that I'd managed to sort of fit the car seat in right. But I always felt more confident with that seat because there was never any sort of play in it, and Matthew always seemed very secure in it.
Matthew and his mother Julie are played by actors.
Right, sweetheart, it won't be long now. We'll be home in a minute.
I'd had a day out with Matthew. We'd been to the North Yorkshire Moors Railway to a Thomas the Tank Engine special, and he'd had a really exciting time. He'd met the Fat Controller and thought that was absolutely marvellous. It was getting quite late, and he was just sort of dozing off in the back of the car. I'd swerved before I even realised what I'd done.
I saw a car veer across from the outside lane of the dual carriageway across the inside lane, and then it just flew and hit into a tree. The car looked as if somebody wouldn't walk away from that accident. The windscreen was missing from the car and the bonnet was up. Some of the windows were smashed, and I noticed then that a child was in the rear seat of the vehicle. My immediate thought with them, because I realised he was strapped into a child seat, was to get him out of the vehicle before I feared it had burst into flames. I was just shocked that a child could not only survive something like that but walk away from it unscathed.
Mark and Debbie Scrimshaw were next on the scene, unaware that Darryl had already taken Matthew out of the wreckage.
Look after his mum. Okay, go back.
Was somebody with you?
Somebody in the car with you.
Seat, Debbie, the seat in your back.
The child seat was empty. My thoughts were, where was the child? Had the child been thrown from the car? Was it in a ditch somewhere? Or, even worse, was it in the road?
It's fine, I've got the boy out of the back, it's fine. It's alright, it's with my girlfriend. It's alright, I've got him out.
Where is he?
Until I saw him myself, I was concerned as a mother.
He's fine.
And having seen him, it was a question of then we'll move on and help Julie.
Don't worry. Keith, it's Keith, your partner, your husband.
Talking to her, you could almost imagine that she was just trapped and there were no injuries, but when I looked down at her legs, I couldn't understand how she could stay so calm talking to me with those injuries. She must have been really suffering.
Where is Matthew? Matthew's
I think
fine.
She thought that maybe we were just saying he was all right so that she wasn't unduly concerned. And until she saw him, she wouldn't truly relax.
See him there. He was held at a distance so that she could see him and see that he was fine, but he couldn't see her. They're on their way, love. I can hear the sirens. I thought at any time that we would lose her. I couldn't see the blood. I couldn't see that there was anything that I could do, but I was aware that she must be losing a lot, and I just thought any time she could just die.
The emergency services arrived within 12 minutes of the accident.
A person can bleed to death from one badly fractured femur. Julie had both legs fractured, so she could have bled to death at any time. The policies are that any patient trapped for 20 minutes or more would have to get medical help by a medical team from the hospital or a local GP.
As soon as they finish taking that door up, I'll get round to the other side.
The reason I wanted Dr. Bradley is because GPs can administer pain relief, such as morphine, and that's what Julie needed. When she was coming into consciousness, she'd got a lot of pain.
Well, I didn't think she'd make it. She looked very, very ill. White, a lot of blood. She was slipping into unconsciousness. I didn't really think she'd live. When a car is that badly smashed and you can see the impact that it's had, you expect everybody inside the car to be really damaged. For somebody to walk away, you say it's a miracle. In this case, yeah, it was a bit of a miracle that the kid survived.
I bet we can go and see some fire engines or ambulances. Would you like to see those?
If Matthew hadn't been secured in that child seat, there's no doubt whatsoever that Matthew would not have survived at all.
Once Dr. Bradley had treated Julie, she went to check Matthew.
What's your name? Is it Matthew?
It is Matthew.
Hello, Matthew.
He seems absolutely fine.
Okay.
Yeah, he's great.
It was so difficult because she was badly trapped by the legs, and it was one of those jobs where you had to take it slowly, although she was critically injured. So you couldn't rush it, but at the same time there was a sense of urgency.
Postman Pat.
I remember thinking that this little boy could lose his mother here, and every minute is a minute too long. They talk about the golden hour. This was a golden 2 hours plus, and I was very concerned for her. I didn't think she would make it. And my feelings as I was cuddling him were one of, you know, poor little boy, you know, your mother's got to be alright because you need her.
Let us through your door.
I don't know how she survived that day, waiting patiently in that seat to be cut out. It's just remarkable. She was an incredibly brave lady.
Julie spent over 3 months in hospital. She had a punctured lung, severely fractured legs, and needed skin grafts for an arm injury.
I don't think it occurred to me until quite some time afterwards how serious it had been and how close I became to either losing my legs or dying.
And now I'm very pleased to hear that she's had a little girl and that she's living a normal life, and it's a very, very happy ending.
I could have stood anything if Matthew was all right. That was the only thing that worried me. That was my only concern at the time. I was so determined to get on with the physiotherapy and the surgery and everything, just so that I could look after him and take care of him again. And I think that I really worked hard at recovering because he was all right and he was there and he needed me. Even if somebody offers me a lift, or if I go in, you know, I wouldn't consider going in a taxi unless there was a car seat fitted. I just don't think they're safe otherwise.
I've got a new one now because I'm older and my baby sister has one too.
Oh wow, I don't know, yes.
Because it makes it higher so it doesn't go strangling me.
Putting a child inside a car and not restraining them is inexcusable. You've got to make sure that the child is properly restrained in a proper seat, fitted for the job, and therefore the child's safety will come first. It's no good you being strapped into the car if the child isn't, because when you have an accident it's too late to say sorry.
When I see children in cars unrestrained, I just find it quite incredible, really. I couldn't live with myself if I'd have thought that Matthew was injured because I hadn't strapped him into a car seat, and I just don't know how anybody else could either. I mean, if you can afford a car, you can afford a car seat.
It isn't just enough to have a car seat, it must be fitted securely into the car. Matthew escaped without a scratch because his was. But a survey published today by the RAC found that more than half of all car seats inspected were incorrectly fitted. Worse still, 40% of children weren't restrained at all. Remember, a car seat isn't just an accessory, it's a vital piece of safety equipment. As children grow, they progress through 4 types of car seat. The right one depends on the exact size and weight of the child, so always weigh your child before buying a new one. Road safety officers at Dorset County Council have helped us with advice on choosing and fitting a car seat. We've used age only as a guide in this information to help you keep your kids safe on the road. From your baby's first journey until about 9 months old, you should use a rearward-facing seat to support your baby's head. But never use one in the front if there's an airbag on the passenger side. If it's triggered, the airbag could kill